baby, listen to me speaking. No matter what, just let it go.
Pop, persuadable. What's going on, everybody? So, this is going to be an interesting video. I think it's going to be a more controversial video. And let me start this video off by saying this. I want to hear from you. I want you to comment and I want you to tell me your opinion. Because I'm actually not playing the educator role right now. That was a waste of a palette. I am not about to educate you all. I'm actually asking you all to educate me. That's a very serious comment, by the way, all right? Usually I come out with my videos, I show you guys how to play things, but I'm asking a genuine question here. So, yesterday, I wrote a post about how, initially I thought that teabagging during mid-kite wasn't that big of a deal. Now, I'm a killer main as well, and some people agreed with it, and some people said, well, that's bad sportsmanship, right? Very interesting, right? One of the things that I try not being is thick-headed, right? Sometimes I am incredibly thick-headed, but the name persuadable means that I like to kind of listen to both sides, to listen to both opinions of things, right? So here's going to be some gameplay of showing strategy of what teabag and mid-kite would look like. Now, I tried to find a very realistic match to use footage. I used a match where the killer wasn't camping or doing anything bad. So, because that's usually the argument, well, killer's camp, so then I teabag, right? So we remove that from the equation, right? So the killer has done nothing wrong, all right? However, in this match as well, the survivors are losing, right? So in this match, my teammates are going down quite a bit. So I know that if I can elicit this sort of reaction from this killer, he's going to tunnel me. And if he tunnels me and I can kite him, therefore we can get the victory, all right? Now, we can all agree that teabagging is considered toxic as well. I am not talking about teabagging at the gate. I'm not talking about teabagging at the hatch. All right. So I feel like I'm trying to be as unbiased as I can. So we have a match where the killer is doing nothing wrong. It's just another killer. And then we have a match where the survivor is going to do their thing as well. And it's very interesting to see what the community is going to say. Because the thing is, so I had one person post the most ridiculous comment and said, well, teabagging in the game is the equivalence of being in an esports competition and telling a player that they suck and they should delete the game. And I'm like, I feel that was a little hyperbolic. That's completely different. I don't think that's the same thing whatsoever. But I can't consider teabagging to also be toxic. Now, I'm a killer main. When somebody starts teabagging me mid-kite, it kind of gets me fired up, like really fired up. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go after this survivor. But if I tunnel them too long, I can lose the match if they're a really good survivor. That's actually happened before. That's worked on me in the beta server where, really good survivors, they'll teabag you mid-kite and you're like, yo, fuck this, I'm going to kick your ass. And then they kick your ass. Especially after if you were beating all of their teammates and whatnot, right? But at the end of the game, it's a good game. I understand what you were doing. Not a big deal. But there seems to be a lot of people who really consider this to be unsportsmanlike behavior. And I find that fascinating. What I would consider unsportsmanship, and I'm not saying that those people are wrong, by the way. All right? So we are not insinuating that those people are wrong. In fact, they might be correct. So what I can do, though, is define what I consider unsportsmanlike. And that would probably be, the whole teabagging at the gate, waiting at the gate for no reason, even when all of your survivors have escaped. I'm not talking about you waiting as a team for one person or you all trying to heal each other. That's trying to maximize points. That's a different story. But probably teabagging at the gate for no reason. But then even some people will say there's certain circumstances when you can teabag at the gate. When you can say, okay, well, the killer camped or the killer tunneled, so therefore we can teabag. It's like a really fascinating sociological factor within the game. It's like it's got this own like big rule book about when you can and can't teabag. And I'm not saying people are wrong for it or correct. I'm just saying it's there. So how about we talk about a few things that we can agree that we have heard, right? I have heard, right, that you can teabag if somebody has camped you. That's considered toxic. So if you teabag them, then you're just delivering the favor back. Another toxic thing is when the killer is hitting you while on the hook, right? So we can say that that's been called toxic. And we can also know that, survivors waiting by the hatch and waiting for the killer to find the hatch and the survivor, and then they jump through the hatch. That could be considered toxic and unsportsmanlike behavior, all right? Now, the thing is that a lot of those things have something in common other than hitting somebody on the hook. And what a lot of those have in common is that that's when the match is concluded. It's when the match is over. So there's this common theme that when the match is over, there's no reason to rub salt in the wound, right? Then again, apparently there's stipulations where if somebody is being toxic to you in camping, then you can rub the salt in their wound, right? So it's such a confusing thing. It's such a confusing thing. On Identity 5, I didn't really ever do that sort of thing anyways, right? But the question is that in this game right here, with this killer, and now I made sure to get good footage, a good session where you can see that obviously this killer is tunneling me, right? Obviously, this is considered unsportsmanlike for some people, and then other people are going to look at it as, hey, your team was losing, they were all going down, you got the hunter or killer to tunnel you, and hey, you end up winning the match because of it. At the end of the day, your teammates win. And so isn't that the point that you're supposed to work with? But then other people will say, well, that's not really fair to the killer. The killer did nothing wrong. You can easily throw the pallet down and just wait for the killer. If it's an experienced killer, he's not going to tunnel you whether you're doing the whole teabagging thing or not. Well, then the counter argument to that is that a lot of veterans know that teabagging can be considered toxic, so it's supposed to elicit an emotion, so they tunnel you. And if they tunnel you, well, then you can carry your team. See this killer right here, though? The killer right here is not camping me. He moved on. He's not doing anything. He's just trying to play the game. And I actually wanted to show this footage because I don't want to show you a killer that's acting super toxic, right? Because that's usually the discussion then. You show a killer being super toxic and then you make it seem like it's okay for you to be toxic. So what if I teabag a killer that's done nothing wrong? I felt like that would actually be more objective. There's no way every single killer that every single person you're going to face is always toxic before you are. So is it unsportsmanlike behavior? That's the question. Now I want to show you this moment, right? This moment right here will show you that all of this has gotten in the killer's head. Look at him, he's shaking his head, right? Is that considered toxic or a reactionary thing? So then I use my decisive strike. We throw this down, put it in between us. We do that again. And now we want him. Now again, I know somebody even said it. Oh, you're playing Dead by Daylight and the toxicity got to you. Okay, so the question is this a viable strategy? Is this an okay strategy? What about people who don't do this, but they don't have the ability to say good game at the end of the post-match, right? And I want to hear from you all. I'm sorry if I'm not being objective enough. I'm trying to be objective. I can see both sides to it. But the problem is that when I research this, so I've talked to dozens of people about this, and when I tell you it's like 50-50. So maybe it was just a biased sample size. I really want you guys to tell me, is this a viable strategy? We're not talking about teabagging at the end. You guys, that doesn't happen in this match. We're not talking about teabagging at the end. We're not talking about wasting the killer's time. We're talking about really distracting the killer. And I want you guys to tell me your opinions on this. It's just I'm fascinated by it, right? I came out with that Facebook post. I'm sorry, the YouTube post. I ended up deleting it. I'm not going to lie, because it was just becoming too much to explain everything, and I just don't have the time. So I really want to know what you all think. And I want you to tell me your opinions. Because I want to learn. I want to learn. I want to learn from the general community what their thoughts are. And then my question is, if you support this, do you do it every match? And if you don't support this, does this mean that you have never done it and you never will do it? I will never stumble upon you in any matches ever. Will you ever do this? Not even a single time. Like that's where it is. Everyone tiptoes around this subject. Everyone really tiptoes around, and I actually want to have a discussion about this. I want people to teach me their opinions and thoughts and ideas. You know, as I'm watching this gameplay, I can see both sides. I can see a killer that has done nothing wrong and he's got to deal with me fucking teabagging him the whole round. But then from a survivor standpoint, I see, okay, I had to kite for 5 minutes or loop for 5 minutes and get 2 rescues just for us to barely get a 3-person escape. So were those measures necessary in order to win? If I just kited like normal and the killer left, that doesn't necessarily mean we would have lost either. So perhaps how I just presented that is biased in itself. Now notice this, there's no teabagging. There's nothing. He's going to heal me. This isn't considered toxic, right? This is so he can get the points. But then I see the chainsaw being revved and I'm getting a little nervous. I want you guys to educate me. I really do. I want to know your opinions on this. I really want you guys to tell me, specifically, this is a specific argument, is teabagging mid-kite considered a viable strategy or is it considered unsportsmanlike? Please post below. Be polite to other people. I really don't want there to be nasty comments. I want to learn, and I want to hear what your opinions are on this matter. At the end of the day, though, I did loop for 5 minutes. All right. Thank you very much for watching. I'm really looking forward to everybody's opinions. Bye-bye now.